Joining me now is the CEO, Exitom Consulting Limited, Adeyemi Ajayi. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
Good morning.
The COVID-19 pandemic has not just brought about a health concern, a public health concern, but it has also dealt a massive blow on economies around the world, and jobs are certainly feeling the impact. Nigeria, before COVID-19, the level of unemployment has been a source of concern. And now with the COVID-19 pandemic, I wonder what you envisage.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a subject of discussion at various fora, but I want to tell you in a simple term, there'll be huge layoffs. The unemployment rate is expected to be worse. I would say the worst in 30 years. Earlier this year, we're looking at 32% unemployment rate, but looking at ILO record, International Labour Organization, it shows will be around 56.4% in Nigeria. So there's going to be massive loss of jobs. Companies are struggling.
Indeed. Now, talk to us about the implications of this massive loss, if we may start from that point.
Yeah, the implication largely is a drawback on the economy. The economy will not be able to grow. So technically, we are in recession. Another thing is recovery from this may last 2-3 years. Another implication again is that there will be more people looking for smaller jobs, which means there will be cuts in pay for jobs. So, and the cuts in pay is because organizations cannot generate revenue. And if they cannot generate revenue, the next thing is to cut down pay. So salaries will go down, obviously. And again, standard of living, looking at inflation, may go up, meaning take home may just not be take home anymore. And people will have to manage that reality. That is the truth. But unfortunately, the downside risk to that is that there'll be a large number of crime rates and cybercrime, especially.
So with the government looking at easing of restrictions, that doesn't change anything at this point, because that has been a concern over the times that the lockdown had been in place.
Yeah, I think if the lockdown is suspended, we expect more terrible or worse situation, looking at the infection rate. And again, organizations, we have to restructure the way they work. Everybody may not necessarily go to work every day as it stands. But again, capacity for organization will dwindle based on that.
Now, let's look at sector by sector impact. Now, it is said that the aviation industry is the worst hit, just as the hospitality industry as well. Talk to us how much impact it is having on those sectors.
Yeah, hospitality for now and aviation, they're going to be seriously hit. Let's just take aviation, for example. If you're flying from Lagos to Abuja, you are no longer going to sit in between two people. You're going to occupy 3 rows in one. So will airline be able to struggle with that? Will they be able to take that? Meaning they'll be taking 1/3 of their passengers on each flight, and they'll be burning same fuel, paying same amount. So it's not going to work for them. So they will be seriously hit. And if we talk about hospitality, people will be very careful. It's a public area. How many people want to go? You don't know who is staying in the hotel room where they're going to put you. And you're not sure if there's deep cleaning or fumigation there. So the hospitality industry, the aviation, are going to seriously suffer for this. That's the truth.
Which other sectors are you also looking at having to be worst hit by this, aside the hospitality and aviation?
Manufacturing, because it brings in a lot of people, working people on the shop floor. If you have to maintain social distancing at that point, which means you're going to have fewer production. And if you have fewer production, it's going to hit so bad. Again, there's no raw materials coming to them due to change in the exchange rate. So manufacturing will face that situation. Again, we're going to have people in the financial services not seriously hit, as it were, because a lot of things are going digital in that space. So again, if we're looking at another sector that will be affected, I've mentioned some of the medium-scale businesses, people that are into event planning, people that are into fashion. This industry will be affected. That's the truth.
All right, let's leave the discussion here now. Adeyemi Ajayi, thank you for speaking with us. Joining me now is the CEO, Exitum Consulting Limited, Adeyemi Ajayi. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
Good morning.
Now, quickly talk to us with the fall in oil prices, leaving the country somewhat vulnerable. I wonder what kind of interventions the government can give to sectors that are hardest hit by the pandemic as we speak now.
Yeah, as palliative, I think government can have a bailout for them, but I don't know the extent to which that bailout will really help. Because if you're bailing out any sector or any business, that business must have potential to grow and sustain itself. So I think government should come up with that. And I'll tell you, CBN is doing a lot in terms of the small-scale businesses. CBN is doing a lot with a lot of releases and funds for support. But, for the big players, I don't know what will really work for them. Even if there is a bailout, what is the potential for growth? That should be the question.
But then, even though that some have criticized CBN's efforts as not being holistic an approach to dealing with this.
Yeah, I think that is right. Maybe the modalities or the approach is not may not be right, because some of these things are not really clear to people, maybe to few who are taking advantage of it. And personally, I've not had any individual that has benefited from it. But there's always been paper all around that these funds are available. And if these funds are available, to which sector? And what is the focus in terms of economic growth?
We see other countries like in the US, persons filing for unemployment and the government trying to put together some sort of relief funds. We may not have that at this point, but what can people who find themselves in this position do? Can the government really handle this on its own?
Yeah, I'm not sure Nigerian government can handle this on its own. It's nothing other than the way our system is, I think, is a bit convoluted and compromised. Let me use that word, to be very blunt. And what that means is, even if the funds are there, the process of giving it out to people and helping people there, it's confusing. Let me say that. And it may not reach the source that is being targeted at.
So what can the people who find themselves in this situation do for themselves?
Yeah, situation like this calls for creativity and innovation. You need to be very creative and look for a way of survival. Everybody's in survival mode. Government is in survival mode. Everyone is in survival mode. So it's just because I cannot categorically tell you that this is the answer that can help anyone at this point. No any economist over the world can wake up and tell you this is the right way to go, because we're all in the dark, but with your creative mind and innovative mind, you can survive.
The government is looking at an 850 billion naira loan, which was approved by the Senate. Talk to us, because some have said that this money has to be spent strategically and judiciously. What would be a judicious and strategic spending on your part from the government?
The question is, what was the money released for? Because if you look at it, if the money is it released for economic growth? Which sector? And again, if Senate is approving it, was there a modality, an approach to which this can be deployed? 150 billion is a very, very small money at this point to even sustain any part of it.
850 billion.
850 billion, I think that is going for a loan, and they should come and analyze what that means. This 850 billion is not new, it's been in the budget. I mean, the loan that they want to take. But the question is, what part of the economy do they want to stimulate at this point with that 850 billion?
All right. Thank you, Adeyemi Ajayi, for your time on TVC Breakfast.